In the fall of 2022, my hometown Harper Woods unveiled a mural commissioned by artist Amadeus, who is a homegrown talent, and I sat down with him on my Quick to Politic podcast. So here is some beautiful footage of him doing a time lapse sort of unveiling of Mural. So stay tuned for the interview and just some snippets of him
What's good,
going
everybody?
over
What
a
you are
time
looking at
lapse
is a time lapse
rendering of the artwork.
My first mural project. Figured it'd be a cool way for you guys to see the process, see some behind the scenes of, how I made it, what I did for a week. I guess I would say I've been painting for real, like 3 years, really taking it seriously, kind of chasing it as a career. The idea of a mural is something that I've been plotting on for about that same amount of time. I've always known it's something I wanted to do. Really been on my mind the past year and a half, and that's kind of where the process of thinking through what we were looking at first started. I had known that I wanted to paint this wall in particular pretty much from the onset of when I started thinking about murals again this year. This is my childhood park. It means a lot to me just in the history of my life and my friends and community. I knew this building in particular would be a great spot for it, just in location and just the wall itself. It's perfect and asking for something to be done. And so I sought out to just kind of get permission to do this project from the city. Thankfully to my mom and her connections, I got the contact of the right people to just propose the idea to the city, explain eloquently who I am, what I do, what I'm seeking to do, and just hope that, it was received well, and thankfully it was. So we started the process, met a lot of city individuals, including the mayor, city manager, community deputy director, a whole bunch of people came in to work on this, thankfully, and helped me see this dream, which is just amazing. The ideation process for this piece was a very long and painful one. Just being that I work in three-dimensional art in my day-to-day work, and this being two-dimensional just created a lot of differences, a lot of challenges, and completely changed how I could wrap my brain around just coming up with what I wanted to do. It took weeks of different ideas, sketches, renditions, themes, just really throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks for a long time until I finally wrapped my head around what I truly wanted to say, what I truly wanted to do visually. I chose to do a lot of brushwork because it's just something I'm more comfortable in. It is conducive a lot better to very clean lines, in my opinion, and just having a lot more control over my shapes, which is something that I do a lot in my normal work. The themes of the duality between positive aspirations but negative environments, expanding your horizons, using your influence and your experiences to have a positive change towards your community. These are all things that had been present in my ideation process from the get-go. These are things I wanted to touch on, kind of communicate just with my community. The message of the piece is just a conversation of recognizing the negativity in our lives, but then choosing to focus on the positivity instead and working our way forward with that. This can lead to a lot of positive changes, both in our lives and the lives of the ones around us. It can really just be a good message to take with you in your day-to-day life. Working in a 2D flat plane is something that I hadn't done in years, and it really presented itself with a lot of challenges. I'm not in my comfortable setting, but I'm still setting out to create something that's similar to what I would usually make. on top of that, you also have the much grander scale than anything I've ever created in the past. So this all created a lot of things where I had to figure some new stuff out and really change my process, which was a lot of fun actually. So just went through, blocked in all the solid colors as you can see in the first steps. And then from there is where the real fun was, which is a bunch of taping and a bunch of spray work. Thank you to my girlfriend Kayla. She helped me with the tape of this project. It saved a lot of time and my sanity. Then I got to have fun just blasting the wall with a bunch of spray cans, really bringing the piece to life at that point. It really started coming together around day 4 when the background got implemented and I could start adding the shading and highlights to all the shapes. From there, it's more tape work and adding my trademark textures. The way I wanted to approach that for this piece is kind of more of a callback to one of my earlier pieces where instead of using molding paste that I do today to create greater textures, I instead opted for sponge work to where it's a flatter texture but still has that implication of detail where it's not as sensitive to damage like a molding paste would. I took a lot away from this project that will influence my work moving forward, even on a smaller scale. That was definitely the best unexpected outcome to have come from this piece. My gratitude for this entire experience is indescribable. The amount of support that I've gotten through every step of the way, just being able to get a first in my career of this scale, just everything about it just fills me with joy, fills me with momentum and excitement to continue pursuing these things in my art career. Thank you to the city, thank you to my family, my girlfriend, anyone who's cheered me on along the way, anyone who made me feel like I wasn't crazy. Thank you for my mentor, Mr. Roger. The support system I have is immense, and there's not a day that I don't take it for granted. And I hope that that is always reflected in my work and in my daily operations. And if you ever see me, just know that the energy of these people are with me all the time. And with that, here is some finishing looks of the piece, and I will catch you guys at the next one. Peace.
All right. Hello, everybody out there. This is Ernestine Lyons, and I am host of A Quick to Politic, the social commentary show that explores history, politics, local, and all things political, international, and it's global meets local. And I am joined by a very special guest, Amadeus Roy. He has recently been commissioned to paint a beautiful mural in my beloved city of Harper Woods, and I am here to interview him and ask a little bit more about that process and his inspirations. And so tell us a little bit more about yourself. You have some Harper Woods connections, right?
Yeah, so like you said, my name is Amadeus Roy. I'm an artist that is in the hometown of Harper Woods. I was born here, I grew up here, graduated from the school system. it's my ties only really reside in Harper Woods. I don't really claim anywhere else. Who I am, happened in that area. So that is home for sure.
That is awesome. And so, like, as another product of Harper Woods Public Schools, me too, class of '04. Woo woo.
Oh,
So yeah, yeah. So you probably know Mr. Wayberg, and I'm not sure if he was
yeah,
still
yeah,
there. Miss Lenhart, or well, Miss Bisha, I believe she was.
yeah,
Yeah, during your times. And so yeah, it's Harper Woods is just like such a beautiful town. And to me, it was always idyllic growing up where you felt protected, but yet it was like this wonderful little town where people didn't put on airs, and it's just, normal crust of the earth folks. And it's really doing amazing things. And it's definitely been an honor and a privilege for me to serve the city. And so I just wanted to know a little bit more about like your path as a Harper Woods grown boy into the world of art. And like maybe if you had any encouraging teachers in the school systems, and how you've been led towards this path.
for sure. Uh, my art, my art bringing up of art, uh, doesn't really come from Harper Woods itself. It's more of a second phase of life, kind of. Um, in high school, Miss Peltier was the art teacher. Because I was in band, I only took art for one semester, so I didn't really get to spend much time with her. But small school, I still see her all the time, and she was always very, to this day, still very encouraging of my art. So I definitely commend her for that. But art really, I mean, I doodled growing up, the default answer there, but I didn't really start taking art seriously until I was gearing up to go to college. I decided I wanted to study graphic design at Michigan State. Didn't really have like a pure reason as to why. It just felt like the most fitting thing to do. And then while I was there, I started figuring out what creatively I actually wanted to do. And what I was learning at the time didn't really match up with what I wanted to actually figure out myself for like the ideas I had in my head. So after 2 years at Michigan State, I decided to leave there and just kind of be self-taught and start a different adventure of learning. I'm obsessed with education and learning. I'm always trying to learn all the time, but that environment just wasn't really conducive for what I was trying to learn at the time. So around 2019, I started getting like ideas for paintings and just creative thoughts that I didn't have before. And I was like, well, these are cool, so I might as well, pursue them, see what happens. So I made my first like real painting in 2019. And that's just kind of through watching videos, being familiar with, art materials in the past. And it's really just been a learning process ever since then. It really picked up steam in 2020. I was working at a restaurant at the time, so during the shutdown, I was at home and once again had an idea of this abstract self-portrait that I wanted to do and just see what happened with it. People ended up liking it. That led to, I think, 6 or 7 commissions of doing those portraits for others. And that kind of really showed me that pursuing art was something actually feasible and definitely something that I loved doing. So ever since then, it's just been any spare time that I have, I'm painting, I'm trying to test out new ideas, make new projects. And it's been a great journey so far. It's been very fun.
That sounds rewarding. So you went from, Harper Woods to class of what
2016.
2016. Okay, class of 2016, Michigan State, and then you found this path towards art. What are some of your mediums of choice? What are some of the I see some looks like art behind you, and I'm wondering if that's yours, like an original. And I know some people work with mixed mediums, and whether it's canvas, whether it's oils, or acrylic, and then they do other things like glass blowing. And there's so many different mediums in which you can express art. I know a lot of the contemporary art pieces use, all kinds of, materials that like fabric and metals and woods. And so, what are some of your favorite mediums to create your art with? And
Right,
tell us, I need to know a little bit more about the piece behind you too.
for sure. So the piece behind me is a pretty good representation of my actual work. So, wait, there it is. Um, my material choices are pretty consistent. Um, I don't really vary too much because the process I have is something I very much enjoy, and I kind of push the boundaries of it every time I work with it. So it's hand cut plywood that I construct as layers. It's really a construction project first, like the first half of its life. So it's constructed plywood that I then apply molding paste and acrylic paint on. Sometimes I'll use spray cans as well, but that's really the only materials that I use. I'm very happy with those, and like I said, I enjoy pushing the boundaries of that restriction. Like almost in the restriction, I find more creativity and come up with new ideas. So my pieces are kind of the bridge between painting and sculpture. For a while, I thought they were paintings and only thought they were, and I started getting into shows that were only allowed sculpture, and so it kind of changed the perspective that I have after kind of seeing the perspective that outsiders had of my work. So yeah, I focus on very vivid colors and flowing shapes. That's kind of like the two main characteristics. Uh, Color is really the main focus. Kind of see that I kind of believe that I speak through color when painting because I don't have very recognizable subject matter in a lot of my pieces. A lot of the communication to the viewer comes through the choice of colors and then how those interact with the shapes that they're on.
Wow, well, that's really deep, and I can see that. And I've seen the mural. I wasn't there for the unveiling, but I've seen the beautiful mural you have painted in Harper Woods. It's
Thank
there
you.
in one of our beautiful parks, and so tell us a little bit about the symbolism behind that particular mural. Does it have a name? And what do you want Harper Woods residents to think of when they're near it and by it and in that park? And so just the story of the mountain and the peak and the summit.
Yes. So the name of the piece is Your Journey Awaits. It's kind of a call to action to the viewer to kind of take into consideration both their past, their present, and their future of their life and just the experience that they've had so far moving forward. The subject of the mountain takes inspiration from a trip I took at the end of 2019. I went to Tokyo for a month. And so
Hey, I love Tokyo. All right.
it's
It's
amazing.
amazing. It is an amazing city.
It is. And so Mount Fuji is a symbolism that kind of sticks with me before I've been there and definitely after being there and just it always having that presence no matter where you are. Um, so I chose that as the main subject of symbolism, knowing that it didn't exactly represent Harper Woods as the city that it is, but more so representing how to take experiences from outside the city and bring them back home to garner positive change.
Hey, I
So
love
the
it.
Thank you. So the bordering shapes that kind of frame around the mountain, those are more representative of, the landscapes we're more familiar with in like the northern United States of kind of tree-like shapes and bushes and rolling hills. And so it's kind of a combination of the two of taking the experiences you had of growing up and becoming who you are from your home and claiming it as that, but then also leaving your home to get those new experiences, see other ways of life, kind of see other forms of society and figure out how to bridge the two together to kind of make a better change for the people back home because that's who I care about the most.
Wow. Wow. I really love that. And to even look at it in like it it's just like so many people are hoping for the best for Harper Woods. And we have been definitely we've seen our share of, like down times, we've seen boom times, and I kind of talk about like these idyllic times of growing up in, this wonderful little close-knit city. And we've always had the Eastland Center historically was like a great source of, prosperity, income. And I remember, at least back in the 90s, it was kind of like this very nice upscale kind of experience. And then, with the decline, and now I think that's a great symbol to show that there is possibility on the horizon. We are climbing the mountain, and we're just getting to the peak. And this symbolism here is showing that we can continue to rise, and there can continue to be our low points, our high points, and the possibilities are definitely endless. So I love it. This is just going to be an exciting, time for Harper Woods with new developments here. I know that last year we as City Council kind of voted to rezone the Eastland Mall, and then they've definitely broken ground on that. And so it's just really great to see the wonderful things that are happening in the city. So thank you so much for being a part of that. And are there any ways that we can find you, your arts, your talents, and are there any other commissions or ways in which you want to plug into the community going forward? And what are some of your hopes and dreams for Harper Woods?
Okay. To find me on all socials, it's Amadeus_Roy. That's pretty much the only place. I started a YouTube channel, just Amadeus Roy, but it's only got like one video on it right now. It's the time lapse of the mural, but that's something I definitely plan to do in the future, is as more ways of documentation. I find it very interesting. For future works, I'm hoping that, this is a lasting relationship with the city. We've had light talks about possibilities moving forward of both project opportunities for myself, but also me having a hand in creating opportunities for other artists as well. Like, I don't want to just paint the whole city my colors, however cool that may be. I want to kind of create an art culture that will exist in Harper Woods, because I feel like we don't have that too much right now. Being that this is the first public mural in the city, I want it to be the first step of something much greater moving forward, of just art advocacy and building a creative culture back home. Because not only me, but all my friends that I grew up with going to Harper Woods, everyone's creative. Like, we aren't doctors or lawyers, we're musicians, writers, entrepreneurs, artists,
Business owners, and all of that. We're scrappy, but we out here and we're doing like creative things.
Exactly, and I want that to be represented, and I want that to be symbolized through the city that we represent. Because all my friends also still claim Harper Woods, like that's where we love, that's where we want to create opportunities for it. So as for, like I said, future projects, hoping to have more things in place. Right now, I'm just kind of going back to getting back into the swing of normal things, making standalone pieces and getting into galleries and selling and things of that nature. But for public murals, I'm hoping this is just the first of many, open to opportunities both in the city, with the city, and private entities as well. And then just dreams for Harper Woods. I just want us to be an identified culture of like the Metro Detroit area. I feel like we're kind of like, we fall to the wayside a little bit. Even people who live in Metro Detroit don't always know who
They don't
we
know
are.
us. Like, they say Huntington Woods. Which city is that? Harper Woods? I've never heard. And you have to explain other cities that are near us. So
Exactly. We did that today.
We have to be distinctive. Branding,
Yeah.
brand identity.
And I think our small size really helps towards that, because we are a condensed culture and a condensed environment, and I've always found that beautiful. And so I just kind of want to take a hold of that and spin it in a way that we actually kind of have a creative export going out, not only to the Metro Detroit area, but just to the greater, Earth in general. Like, me and my friends, we have a lot of plans. We definitely want that to be the home base for something great.
And that is beautifully put. And with that, I do have one last question before we go. You mentioned your time lapse, and I noticed like artists like you did this, and I know another famous muralist in the Detroit area, Sydney James. She's done a few murals and things, and I noticed that before the, even the outline is up. There are kind of like these little rough squiggles and things that they look as creative and artistic as an actual mural itself, but they kind of go on first. And then what is the purpose of that? And like, why do so many people do it? And then they just kind of cover them up, because I'm like, oh, this is creative too. Kind of seeing all the like stick figures and things. And I'm just like, well, why is it that, so many mural artists do this? And what is this, is this a technique? Tell me more about it.
So I know it as a doodle grid as a term. It's not really a form of creativity. It's more of a form of function. With murals being at the scale that they are, getting your design that you start on a laptop or a computer or a piece of paper to that scale can be very challenging. There's a lot of room for error. And so way back in the day, traditionally, just normal like rigid line grids were implemented to bring your design to scale. But the issue with that is like, if you have, this intersection in one block, you gotta like count the blocks from one side and go up and stuff. It's very difficult. So instead, doing a doodle grid, every point of reference is identifiable and distinct from the one next to it. So this line could go between a rocket ship and a hot dog or something, or whatever you choose to put up there. It's pretty much I doodled, took a picture of the doodle, and then superimposed my design over the picture of the actual wall on my phone, and that gave me a direct reference to where it's a much more efficient way to sketch on the wall and actually get your piece up.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you, because I've seen so many mural artists do this, and I'm just like, well, what on earth is? At first, and I've had to share this with other folks where they're just like, what is this going on? But it makes sense. I like it, and it's even more of a creative improvisation on a creative process in itself. I mean, you're already getting creative by, putting the art up, but then if you're not using the traditional grid, you've got your doodle grid. I love it. I love it. Well, and with that, yeah, for sure. But I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us and for giving this gift of art to the community to last for years to come. And so I really appreciate this. So everybody go check it out. It's at Salter Park. And go check it out. Go enjoy the park and enjoy Harper Woods. Come visit Harper Woods, everybody. To all my international friends out there. So, so funny you mentioned Japan. I just got a Japan memory popped up in my Facebook, and it was just like, I'm like, oh, let me shout out my Japanese friends. So, but yes, thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing your art and talking with us today and sharing your wonderful, unique story. And keep being artistic out there and representing the city well. And once you blow up and you're like Mr. Super Famous, don't forget Harper Woods. And of course not. Never. Oh, yes. All right. Thank you for coming on. And thank you all out there for listening and for watching.